Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you guys had a good week. So I just wanted to spend some time today going over what your research will turn into as you start to write your research paper. So what I have in front of me is, and on my screen is actually it's a final draft. So I don't want you to panic and think yours needs to look exactly like this right now. But I wanted to give you guys an example of a student's essay, one of my students from last year, and what your paper will look like once you finish your research and you start writing the rough draft. This is how you're going to take those quotes and how you're going to turn it into a research paper. So as you notice, as you do a quick scroll through, this essay does not say I or me or you in it. Number one, when you're talking in this paper, you're talking about your career in general, explaining what about it is great or not great, or the benefits or the location and the salary. So I want you to, first and foremost, I should not read I, you, me, any first or second person in this paper. And it is MLA format, don't forget. So let's take a look at the first paragraph here. So I've even gone through and I've made some comments so you guys can even see which of these paragraphs are related to which part of your outline. So if you take a look here, welding is a career and not just a job. So my student who wrote this last year, they researched being a welder. And in fact, it is one of the hottest careers around. Jobs that involve building and rebuilding are expected to grow by at least 10%, and both of those jobs require welders. Now, if you notice here, this author, my student, already has a quote, and that's okay. Your second or third statement in your intro can have a quote in it. If you notice they didn't put a quote around it, and that's because they paraphrased. So they're still giving the author who wrote it the benefit, but they, for the most part, paraphrased. If you guys aren't sure if you're using too much of an author's words or not, you need to quote. Put quotations and put the author in here. And as I'm reading your essays over spring break, I'll be making edits and I will adjust those things, and we'll talk all about that a little bit more detail then. But for now, I just want you guys to take note of how this student took their research and wrote it into their paper. So the next quote says, welding is the most common way of permanently joining metal parts. And this process, so this is where they're actually explaining what welding is. So you may need to actually do that for your career. I may not know anything about your career. A lot of you guys have some really interesting careers that you've chosen. I know nothing about them. So I'm really excited for you to tell me more about them. So be specific. Welding is used in shipbuilding, automobile repair, and manufacturing. Nearly everything you come in contact with, whether it is a car or a house, involves welding. Awesome. So this person did a really nice job just kind of overviewing the things that I am going to be reading in their essay. So the next part, they jump off into their education and their training section. So they talk about the fact that it's a trade ready job. So you don't have to go to college. You can jump right into a trade. So this student did a really nice job of explaining the different types of education and the types of jobs that they have in regards to welding. Again, they're still going through, they're citing everything or paraphrasing where necessary. So as you can see here, they've put those quotations and then they've also included the parentheses. Also, your paper needs to be double spaced, so don't forget that. Author here did a great job of doing that. Also, the other nice thing about welding that I'm learning is that community colleges offer welding courses. So if you are interested in doing something trade-like, look at PCC and see what course offerings they have, because some of them may offer that. And if you notice here in the paper, actually, it talks about Pasadena City College. So that's awesome. So they're relating it not only to themselves, but also connecting it to the community, which I think they did a really nice job here. Let's see. Let's scroll down. So again, you guys can take a look at how they're able to do this. Next is your salary and advancement. So they start talking about the wages. As of May 2017, most welders work full-time and have a median annual salary of $40,000 a year. It's okay if you have a lot of quotes, right? One right after the other. Just do your best to try to explain those quotes after you write them. But again, it's a research paper, so I'm going to see a lot of quotations and citations in your paper. So I'd rather see too many than not enough. Always keep that in mind. I'd rather you cite until your fingers hurt from typing than not putting any citations at all, because you will lose points when you do that. So the author talked about other places where the welding jobs are really popular. So they actually talk about here that Texas is really popular for welding because there are oil rigs and offshore drilling. So they need a lot of welders there in Texas. So they do talk about that, as well as in Alaska. So that's a great place to be besides California to be a welder. They also kind of talk about what's the cost of living. So that is one of your questions. They were able to find, how much a 1-bedroom apartment is in LA versus how much it takes for you making $40,000 as a welder. It's really interesting. So this person did a really nice job of going over the whole cost of living. And they even address the fact that LA is probably not the best place to start your welding career because they're realizing that you really can't afford to be a welder and live in LA. But then they do talk about cost of living and home prices, and they even address Zillow.com. So if you're looking at cost of living stuff, Zillow.com is a great website to utilize. Let's see. Now they jump into the benefits and hazards. So talking about all of that there and what are the benefits to being a welder. And then jumping down, they kind of separated theirs a little bit. Some significant health hazards in welding, such as metal fumes and UV radiation. So they're explaining the fact that this job it's not super safe. There are a lot of hazards that come with the position. And then they have their conclusion paragraph. So being a welder takes a lot of responsibility. So this is where they're kind of just going through and rehashing everything that they've said throughout their essay, explaining those job opportunities, quotes. As you can see, they're also putting a quote in here, and that's actually the last line of their paragraph is a quote that they're not merely an alternative to college, but trade can be equal to college. So sometimes the smartest person around is someone who can fix an air conditioner. Basically is what they had a nice little quote at the end of their paragraph to kind of end things off. So really take a look. Some other little formatting things I want you guys to take note of is you need to come up and make your headers. So if you go up to format and you come down to page number, you're going to do header, start at 1, and then you're going to apply. So then what you do is you kind of just click up here, so it should already have those numbers, and then you're going to put your last name on here. So right now I didn't put my students, but I put my last name on there. So I should see that in your header. Again, this paper should be 5 to 8 pages, and this hit right in the middle at 6 pages. They also have the works cited attached for you guys. I'm going to do another way more detailed video next week about how to write your works cited page. So you guys should have all of that on your documents from your research right now. So it's pretty much just a copy and paste situation for some of you, but I want to go over that way more detailed later next week. So anyway, please refer back to this video a bunch of times if you need any help throughout this process. If you guys need me to break down any part of this research process into smaller chunks, I can make shorter mini videos next week too. Be sure to let me know via email. And if you guys have any other questions or concerns, just let me know. I'm always available via email. So yeah, that's the rest of this video on your research paper. I hope you guys have a happy Friday and a great weekend, and I will see you all on Monday when your independent reading assignment is due. Have a great day, guys.